Eclectic. Can I try as me? Switch account. Okay. So,
I'll be live now. Bismillah. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm sorry it has to be vertical for some reason.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a normal horizontal one, but for some reason it was requiring me to do it vertical. I guess that's the new thing because of TikTok.
It's very clear.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, it looks very clear. Assalamu alaikum, Samira. Samira, brother Abu Bakr.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Brother Hamza, Vicky, greetings.
MashaAllah. Welcome everyone.
Marilyn, and everyone else, Brenda, Dala. Welcome everybody. So, today we are going to talk about...
You're going to have to speak up a little bit because I've got the mic on.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the first video that was launched for the 100 Days of Middle Nation Challenge. And the first video was divided into 2 days. So, I mean, the content of the video was to be consumed and talked about over the course of 2 days.
And which video was that again?
This is the OCGFC is not a conspiracy.
The OCGFC is not a conspiracy, correct.
Yeah, so there will be a number of videos on this theme of the OCGFC. So tomorrow there will be a different the launch of a different video. I'm not going to talk about that. But at the end of every launch of a video, like now for this first video, it was divided into 2 days. And we will go live. The plan is to go live. So the next video will have a 3-day course, and then we'll go live on the 3rd day.
Right.
Yeah. So most of us have embarked on day 2 of the video, of the OCGFC video.
Well, I think in the West it's just in the morning now.
Yes.
Of day 2.
Yes.
Like mid-morning.
Yeah. So a lot of us have completed day 1, and we have looked at some of the videos and as well as the content that's trending in Twitter. And it's very encouraging that you have joined the challenge. And for those who just joined us, maybe we'll just do a brief. We are going through 100 Days of Middle Nation Challenge, where we would have key videos that Shahid has produced over the past 2 or 3 years.
Well, in fact, we just had the birthday of the channel.
Exactly.
On the 31st of July, so
Correct.
it is what 4 years.
4 years.
4 years, but in the beginning it was roughly about a year or so where it was just Qawamun content.
Close to about 2 years.
Yeah.
General social.
Yeah, I think it became right around the time of the Ukraine war is when we changed it to Middle Nation, and got to actually talk about the things that are interesting to me instead of all of the relationship, gender nonsense.
Yeah, and so back to the video in question. So we are going to discuss some of the content that you have produced over the 100 days. It's not going to be a video a day.
Right.
So we are calling on viewers of the content to produce, to observe the channel, the Telegram channel, for the daily prompts in urging you to watch the videos, and then in producing content. And details are provided in the Telegram group. So please hop on over to the Telegram group, the Middle Nation Telegram group, for details.
Can everyone hear my wife when she's speaking? I hope.
Yeah, please
And
respond.
I'm wearing a mic so that you'll be able to hear me very clearly, inshallah. But I don't know if it's picking her voice up enough. Just talking about the nature of the 100-day Middle Nation Challenge. Okay, alhamdulillah, you can hear.
Everyone is okay, a little bit low. Okay, so I'll just speak up a little bit for those who can't sound far. Yeah, because I don't have a microphone on.
Yeah, we just have the one wireless mic to go to the device, unfortunately.
All right. So so we've gone through the first video. Is the OCGFC a conspiracy? So on day one, we were basically clarifying what the OCGFC means. I think this is a term that, for those who are familiar with the channel,
you'll know the origin of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to just refer to it as the owners and controllers of global financialized capital, but obviously that's quite bulky.
Yeah.
So I shortened it to just making it very easy, the OCGFC.
Yes.
I think that it's really important to understand. I mean, and this is, it's been a while. I know you played the video, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. It's been a while since I made that video. I don't know how long ago it was, at least 2 years.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah.
I did mention, I think, in that video, sort of why it's important to understand that we're not talking about a conspiracy here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for one thing, when you understand something as a conspiracy, that is incredibly disempowering. When you believe, on the one hand, it's irrational, and you're not going to ever make any kind of a progress in trying to address issues of justice, economic justice, sovereignty, political independence, and so forth. You're never going to be able to make any headway if your thinking process is irrational. And the other is that when you believe that there is this sort of organized cabal of people who literally run the world and have secret meetings and whatnot, not only is that irrational and sort of mystical, magical, mythical thinking, it also means that you can never do anything. There's nothing that you can do. Everything is out of your hands. This conspiracy is above and beyond your pay grade, and you're never going to be able to affect it, or everything is sort of predetermined. It's a very fatalistic idea. So it's very important to understand that we're not talking about a conspiracy. I know that the word in and of itself sort of triggers people because some people want to jump on the fact that just calling something a conspiracy theory is a tactic for delegitimizing it, when many so-called conspiracy theories have proven to be completely correct over time. And a conspiracy by its nature is just people coming to an agreement to follow and to pursue a certain agenda without publicly disclosing that.
Right.
So if you want to go by a very, very strict definition, okay, we're talking about conspiracies. We're talking about conspiracies of board members, of shareholders. For example, Larry Fink and the board of BlackRock does not publicly disclose all of their meetings and what they talk about and what their plans are. So you can say that that's a conspiracy, but the nature of people's understanding of the word conspiracy is other than that. So it's very important to understand that we're not talking about this because this is also something that I mentioned it in the video. You have the Illuminati, you have the Masons, you have the Jews, you have the Bilderberg group, you have all of these different ideas that people have that, this group runs. Well, if it was true that just this group of people, identifiable people, run things, well, then we know what we would have to do.
Yeah.
You just go out and do a Louis Mangione on all of these people, and you take care of your problem. But obviously, it's not how it really works, because the real issue is actually the system that you all constructed. I won't even say capitalist system, but your particular practice, your particular bent on the pursuit of capitalism, your particular implementation of capitalism, because as I've talked about before anyway, capitalism in and of itself is something that has existed way before you called it, you put a name on it. There's always been market, there's always been trade, there's always been merchants and so forth. That's always happened. You didn't come up with that, Adam Smith. That's something that's always existed. But your particular version of it is infected by and affected by and influenced by, really, your kufr, your particular kufr in the West. Obviously, when we talk about other countries, non-Muslim countries, say China or Russia or what have you, these are also kuffar. These are also kafir countries. But the particular cultural aspects of European Westerners and then American Westerners, Americans, the particular way that maybe a better way to say it is, the particular qualities of your kufr that then become highly intensified in your pursuit of capitalism, in your pursuit of business, because you've never had to correct those things about yourself.
Yeah.
The predatory aspect of yourself and the very, very materialistic. You can be a capitalist and not materialistic.
Yeah.
But not in the West, because you're already materialistic. So then your approach to the world influences how you approach economics and how you approach business and so forth. So you constructed a system that rewards greed, that is built on pillars of greed, self-interest, exploitation, profit maximization, and so forth. So the people who play that game and who win at that game are rewarded for immoral behavior, exploitative behavior, predatory behavior. That's how you move up in this game. That's the way you designed your game. So then when they come to the top, of course they're all going to share some mutual interests.
Sure.
And they're all pursuing the same thing according to what the game says is the winning, is what comprises or what constitutes winning.
Yeah.
What constitutes winning is, as I say, profit maximization,
Monopolization.
and monopolization, complete consolidation of power, and the elimination of all rivals, and all opposition and all resistance. That's the nature of the game that you constructed.
Yes.
So it's not conspiratorial. This is the game, and everyone knows that that's the game.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that this isn't about the people who have successfully risen to the top of the hierarchy of the game that you created. It's the nature of the hierarchy that you created and the basis upon which you rise up in it. So then, of course, when you get to the top, you find the worst possible people, because your system rewards the worst possible behavior.
Yes.
So it's not a conspiracy when you say that the system is working the way it was designed to work.
Again, that bears repeating. That it's just an ecosystem that's just going on its own mechanism.
Right.
Right, and so
it's operating according to its internal logic, the internal logic of that system, and then each individual player in that system is operating within the logic of the system, and then their own specific, peculiar, the internal dynamics and logic of their organization, their company, their career, what have you, their place, their sector within the economy, and so on. And then this is the other side of why it's important to not think of it as a conspiracy, is because the other idea about a conspiracy is that it's a monolith.
Yeah.
That there's a monolithic agenda, there's a monolithic group of people who are all completely unanimous, and there's uniformity of opinion, uniformity of how it should be pursued, and so forth. And that's not the case, and that's also important to understand.
Yes.
It's very important to understand. And why is it even important to understand that the OCGFC is a thing? Why is that important? Because, as I've talked about before a few times, I don't have another name for the kind of analysis that I provide, the kind of content that I provide, except to call it geopolitical analysis, even though that's not really what it is. What I analyze is power dynamics. And in my opinion, if you want to have any impact, if you're an activist, if you're a business person, obviously, if you're just a concerned individual on this earth, and certainly if you're a Muslim or if you're someone from the global south, you have to understand very well, very clearly, the real existing power dynamics in the world. Away from narratives about power. You have to understand what real power is, rather than being influenced by narratives, because most of the narratives, in fact I can go ahead and say all the narratives that are constructed by power are designed to obscure who is in power and what their agendas are and what they're doing. The narratives are all designed to obscure that and to misdirect and to deflect from what the real powers are and what their agendas are and how they operate. So that on the one hand, you never know what's going on. That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, so you can never figure out how to get power yourself. You can never figure out how to attain power. So they create all of these narratives to keep you disempowered and distracted and misdirected from what the real power is, and what they're about and what they're doing.
So the goal for Shahid's content is for you to, it's to clear the fog for all of us, and for us to have some clarity on what is actually taking place, and to be able to identify for ourselves issues that are worthwhile pursuing. Instead of just chasing narratives and just being blindsided by non-issues. And once again, I would like to highlight to viewers who just joined and to the 300 or so people who are now listening in. Every one of you, please bear in mind that we are discussing the first video of the 100 Days of Middle Nation Challenge.
And we're doing, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
We're doing the 100 Days of Middle Nation Challenge, which is where we're taking one video out of 1,200 videos that we have on the channel. Because of that fact, for one thing, 1,200 videos is a lot. That's a lot for anyone to actually go through, especially since a lot of the Middle Nation videos are quite long. The Qawamun videos are like 4 minutes long. But when you get into the political and economic and cultural critique type of videos, they get to be longer. So it's a lot for anyone to try to process who's got that kind of time to go through 1,200 something videos. So we are, our team, Middle Nation team, has selected a number of particular videos that, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, if you watch them, it will help you to understand the sort of core mindset and understanding and perspective and worldview paradigms and what have you that we have at Middle Nation and that we are trying to teach, for lack of a better word, trying to propagate. And then asking individuals, people who feel that they have benefited from Middle Nation content in one way or another, to look at these videos and then to produce their own content on the topic that's in that video. Because at the end of the day, whatever you have benefited, inshallah, I hope you have benefited from Middle Nation content. If you have benefited, then you should benefit others, and you should become someone who can articulate the same views, the same understanding to others, so that it can proceed beyond just me. It doesn't have to just be me-centric. It's Middle Nation is Ummatul Wasata. It's us. It's all of us. It's all of Muslims. And so, you know, anything could happen to me at any given moment. You know, if I were to stop making content, or if I were to drop off the face of the earth, you never know, or be taken off the face of the earth. Someone needs to proceed with this understanding. Someone needs to continue, and there needs to be, you know, more people, not just. And this is again, this even goes back to a certain extent. This even goes back to a psychological decolonization in a way, because Western culture has acclimated everyone and habituated everyone to being passive consumers of content. And one of the most common comments that I get on any video that comes up is people telling me, "You are articulating what I have always thought. You are articulating what I've always felt, but I don't have the words to say it." And that means that what you hear from me is just as much yours as it is mine. I just happen to be able to put it together in words that you maybe had struggled to do. But okay, now I've done that. So now you can do that.
Yes.
You can take it, because I'm not convincing you of anything. If you're hearing it from me and then saying, "That's what I've always thought, but I never knew quite how to say it." Okay, well, it's always been your position. This has always been what you thought.
Yes.
So have some confidence in yourself and come out and say it. And create your own content. And that way we can actually start changing the discourse. Because the discourse, as you all know, and as you've seen me talk about many times, the discourse is completely dominated by liars. By absolute, dedicated, committed, pathological, psychopathic liars. And we deserve better than that. And we need to take back that public space. We need to take back the areas of discourse, the channels of discourse, the conference rooms. We need to take that back, and we decide, this is what we're going to talk about. You don't tell us what is going to be discussed. And that's what they do. They don't just tell us what we're going to discuss. They tell us what are the two different sides that we can take on any given issue. They don't just tell us what issues. They tell us, okay, this is one position. You can either take this position or you can take this position. Anything other than these, any other issue we won't talk about, and any other position on these issues we won't talk about. No, we don't have to do that. We can come up with our own, the issues that actually matter to us. We can discuss them ourselves. And inshallah, through watching Middle Nation content, maybe it has helped you to identify certain issues that actually matter, that are always obscured, that are always covered over, that are always denied, always ignored. You can identify those issues, and hopefully, inshallah, again, by watching Middle Nation content, you have found, discovered means of articulating those things.
Yeah.
So please, make content yourself. So anyway, that's what the Middle Nation 100 Days Challenge is.
Yes.
And if you want to participate in that, inshallah, you can come to our discussion group on Telegram.
Yeah, for all the guidance and
for what the prompts are going to be, what the videos are going to be, and so on. And also, I participate in the Telegram group, so if you have something that you want to say, we've already had some brothers and sisters who will leave in the Telegram group. I was thinking about saying this, is that all right?
Yes.
How should I change it, or should I, what tweaks can I make to it, alter, editing needs to be done? And I'm there, inshallah, to help with that. So that's what that's about. And then I lost my train of thought about what else we were going to say.
We're basically going to address the content.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm here to moderate the discussion, and we are having a lot of the members of the public who are in the chat, and they're all
welcome,
asking,
everyone.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you, but we also want to focus on the topic at hand.
I mean, I don't mind taking a question here and there, or a topic here and there that's outside of the bounds of why we're doing the live. It would be kind of unfair, because the people in the public don't even know about the Middle Nation Challenge. So
fair enough. So we are informing them in the chat group that we are the purpose of the chat and what's going on. So please head on to the Middle Nation channel in the Telegram group.
So then I'll just continue to talk until you can find maybe a question.
Sure.
With regards to the OCGFC, now what has developed, as you all know who followed the content, you have now two main factions of the OCGFC. One is what I refer to as the nationalistic OCGFC, and then the other is the a-national OCGFC. A-national is a term that most people may not be familiar with. It's kind of an invented term, I suppose, but it's similar to like atheist, meaning not a theist, or amoral, meaning not moral but not immoral, just not having no morality. So a-national means they have no nationality. They have no national ties. They have no nationalism. So there's the nationalistic OCGFC, and then there's the a-national OCGFC. The a-national OCGFC is sort of represented by organizations like BlackRock or Vanguard or State Street, these asset management companies, a lot of tech firms, banks, and so forth. These are going to be a-national developers, real estate developers, as I say, tech firms and so on. Nationalistic is the original Western OCGFC. That's the original one, because they came through the military-industrial complex. They rose through the military-industrial complex and through the deregulation inside of America that led to the rise of corporate power, the ascendancy of corporate power, until corporate power within America transcended the power of the American government. But they're still tied to Western, or specifically to American domination. They still have an interest in American domination. Understand also, when I say that they're nationalistic, it doesn't mean that they care about their nation in terms of their people. They never did care about the American people, and they don't care about the American people now, but they care about specifically American-centric world order. The a-national OCGFC not only are not interested in maintaining an American-centric world order, they're against it. Because of the fact that that America has never been able to, internationally, America's only way for driving their economy is to disrupt everyone. Everywhere they go, they break things. That's how they have ran their economy since at least the 1940s, 1950s. Now, if you're an a-national owner and control of global financialized capital, and you have global interests, you have international interests, and like, for example, now they have an interest in stabilizing the Middle East, well, that's completely anathema to the military-industrial complex. The whole model has been to destabilize the Middle East for my whole lifetime, my mother's lifetime. Now that's changing.
Right.
And so they actually want America sidelined. The a-national OCGFC want America sidelined. They want America isolated, because you don't know how to play with others. You don't know how to cooperate with others. You're not a team player. You only ever want to destabilize and ruin everyone else's countries and everyone else's economies. That's not going to work anymore. And one of the reasons why that's not going to work anymore is because you all don't have babies. Quite frankly. Europe and America and the West generally, you have failed at the most fundamental duty as a human being to procreate, to keep your people going. You have failed to do that. So now you're not producing enough workers or consumers to fill the needs. That doesn't mean that, for example, that the A National OCGFC suddenly developed a conscience and suddenly developed a great interest in the people of the Global South, and now all of a sudden they really like Muslim people and black and brown people, so-called. No, they still don't like anybody.
Yeah.
But you have people.
Yes.
That's the difference. You have people. You have a robust demographics. You have robust birth rates. You're producing humans. So inevitably, the economy has to shift to where people are.
Yeah.
You can't have an economy without people. So the economy is shifting to where people are. And that's a necessity. And America doesn't have, it's too entrenched in their model is not adaptable. The model for their domestic economy is not adaptable. They have depended for decades on destroying everyone else. Well, that's not going to work anymore. That doesn't work moving forward. So the A National OCGFC want to see America sidelined. They want to see them isolated. And that's what you're seeing under Trump. You were seeing it already under Biden. It's been moving anyway in this direction. Trump is accelerating it.
Okay, so I would like to pause for a bit here. There are about 500 people on the line right now.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Someone named Smith, sorry, I'm just getting to your question. Have you ever considered producing a structured curriculum for the variety of topics you inform us of? I think we could easily benefit from such a thing. We hope to come up with a conclusive plan at the end of the 100-day challenge.
Yeah, we would very much like to do that. I appreciate the question. It is something that we have thought about. I'm not a trained educator. I'm not someone who's designed courses. I mean, I taught some courses on Sirah and Tafsir and this kind of thing, but it's very, very informal. But to sort of codify and organize all of the different things, because there's many different areas that need to be discussed.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not simple.
I think.
But to answer the question briefly, yes, inshallah we will, and we have some good brothers and sisters who are ready to work on that. And like my wife said, hopefully over the course of the 100 days, it will help us to identify the specific things that we need to maybe cover and how it can be taught in an organized way, inshallah.
Okay, we have another question from a Pauline Wooding. The question is, how can ordinary individuals affect the power dynamic? What actions can they take? In the video, it covers briefly about how the A National, about basically the rich have just, they just like to undermine the masses, and they tend to don't think highly of them and do not believe that they are capable of anything higher than just surviving, you know. But we have proven otherwise, time and time again, you know. So
I mean, it would. The thing is that I completely understand and sympathize with the question. However, the question. How can I say this? First of all, there isn't a you can do ABC and achieve change, because first of all the nature of human society, the nature of the human condition is that those who have more money, those who have more wealth, those who have more power, have disproportionate influence and say over how things are going to go. You would need mass mobilization of people to equal or to rival or to even compete with the influence of one multi-billionaire. That something that he can achieve or she can achieve with a phone call would take you millions of people. I don't mean to be discouraging here, but it would take mass mobilization over an extended period of time, a sustained period of time. Now, having said that, the fact that power is disproportionately in the private sector in the West, and not in the governmental sector, not in the public sector. The private sector operates according to very binary, very simple, very straightforward black and white prioritization. What makes money is what is right. And the good news about that is that you decide what makes money. As the population, you decide. You're the market. You're the consumers. You decide what makes money. You decide whether a company is going to be rewarded, or whether it's going to be punished, or whether it's going to be ignored, whether you're going to be indifferent. And for example, we've seen over the last 2 years, I think the BDS movement has been extremely successful. I've talked about before with the protests, the marches and the protests and whatnot for Gaza. I think that most of the people who are participating in those protests expect something else from those protests. They expect them to have a power that is unrealistic. They expect them to have an influence that I think is unrealistic, and that's based on a miseducation about, for example, the civil rights movement and what led to change in the civil rights movement. However, the protests are useful and influential in terms of establishing a mood in the market. So
therein lies the power.
Therein lies the power.
Yeah.
That you have made it, and we've seen it like never before in my lifetime, that those of us who have been concerned about and interested in the Palestinian issue for decades, we're seeing what we never thought we'd see.
I mean, it's very important that we understand this and place actions and deeds accordingly, according to a lens that's clear.
Right.
You know, instead of just blindly chasing.
Right.
After.
Because I'm sorry to interrupt. Because otherwise you will think, if you don't understand, again, I don't mean to like move away from the question, but it's connected in a way. If you don't understand the reality of the OCGFC, if you don't understand the reality of private sector power, then you might actually think that Europe got a conscience. You might actually think that Keir Starmer or Macron really genuinely feels really bad now about what's happening in Gaza. They don't care. They never did. They didn't care then. They don't care now.
It's not a change of heart.
There's no change of heart whatsoever.
Or developing a conscience suddenly.
No. They've been bought. Simple. They've been bought by GCC investment. They've been bought by GCC money. And they've been bought by the fact that the A-national OCGFC are on board with the GCC. They're on board with a new plan for the region. That's the only reason that you're seeing these people come out now in favor of a Palestinian state. That's the only reason. Zero other reasons. And that's the same reason why you see any change in the mainstream media narrative. So you have to understand what actually moves things in this world. And I mean, I know it's kind of a truism that everyone just sort of says offhandedly that you know, money makes the world go round, but it does though, and you have to understand what that means. And in other words, you have to now, like I've talked about many times also, the democratization of corporate power, the democratization of private sector power, because at the end of the day, they are relying on your money. You're the one who made them rich. They're rich off of your money, except in terms of financialization. And even in terms of financialization, there's something you can do about that because it's related to stock prices. And we already saw what they did with, what was that called? What was that called? The GameStop.
Right.
We
conspired together.
We've already seen that you can affect stock prices. Even public boycotts, public shaming, and so forth. This can affect stock prices. So you have an ability to deal with even financialized capital, but you definitely have the ability to deal with the private sector because they must be responsive to you.
Yes.
The only thing, and this is important, we were just talking about it before we started the live. The only thing that has allowed Starbucks to continue operating at all is financialization, because they're not making the money now that they were making. They've lost billions.
Yes. Because
of the boycott. If they didn't have the option of financialization and sustaining themselves through financialization and debt, they would have been out of business.
Debt management. Yeah. Somebody in the chat has a question. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Shahid.
Alaikum salam wa
So
rahmatullahi wa
what's
barakatuh.
Qatar's role in influencing OCGFC, or what leverage does Qatar have over OCGFC? Do you agree with long-term political and economic vision of Qatar? Jazakallah Khayr. Again, I think this is tied in with a lot of the content that you already produce. And
Well, Qatar has enormous influence within the OCGFC. First, you have to understand, when I talk about the OCGFC and the A National OCGFC, I'm talking about Western-based, because we have our own OCGFC. We have our own people within our own countries who are rich and powerful. That will be coming later, I think, in the challenge. So I won't really talk too much about it now.
Yes.
But Qatar has a sovereign wealth fund. Saudi Arabia has a sovereign wealth fund. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the Emirates, and so on. So they represent a form of owners and controllers of global financialized capital that is based in the global south. Obviously, China is an example. Malaysia is an example. Singapore is an example. Indonesia. All of these countries that have sovereign wealth funds and that are starting to use their sovereign wealth funds strategically in terms of their investment strategies. These are all our own OCGFC. But when I talk about the OCGFC, I'm talking about the nationalistic one is connected with the military-industrial complex in America, politically represented by the neocons. And then the A National OCGFC, you can sort of shorten it to being, say, just BlackRock, is sort of a short form, shorthand for the A National. And they have connections with the Gulf. They have deep connections with the Gulf. They have an office. They have a headquarters in Riyadh. They have a member of their board who's with the Aramco. And Qatar is connected with all of this. Qatar also individually has enormous investments throughout Europe, across Europe. They have enormous influence politically in the UK, in France, and so on. So they have significant influence.
Yeah. So keep a lookout for the discussion and elaboration on our OCGFC and their OCGFC, which will be coming up in about a week's time.
Okay.
So tomorrow we will launch the next video that would be discussed over the course of 3 days. At the end of the third day, we will go live again to discuss that particular video that we're launching.
3 days from now?
3 days from now. So on the 5th of August. So now we're on the, technically
here it's the 1st of August, right?
2nd.
2nd of August today.
Yes.
Oh yeah, 2nd of August.
Yeah. On this side of the world. Okay, let me just see if I have any other questions. Do you believe it would be helpful to establish localized and regional sovereign wealth funds for the Muslims from within nations in the West?
I don't understand that.
Yeah, please clarify the question.
I don't understand that.
Once a little bit more, Mr. Buckley. How was that?
I mean, without you clarifying it, anytime any group of people can pool their resources, pool their money, and put it together, that's a good thing. So, I mean, without further clarification of what you're talking about exactly, yes, absolutely. Any Muslim community. I mean, even if you talk about just like in America, say in the cities, in the states and in the cities where you have large Muslim populations, like say in Minnesota, in Detroit, in Michigan, in New York, Illinois, in Chicago, California, Texas, what have you. I don't know why you don't have sovereign wealth funds. Neighborhood sovereign wealth funds, call it that. Become a sovereign neighborhood through your own funding, through your own collection and pooling of your people's resources within your own community. A community sovereign wealth fund, why not?
Also, there's a lot of Gulf country investments and purchasing of property and even, I don't know, systems within the, you know.
See, this is the thing that I've talked about this many times. I've talked about it so many times that the Muslim community in America, the Muslim community in the West, needs to be building bridges with the Ummah, building bridges with the global Ummah, so that you won't be a part of a minority, of a marginalized minority in America, which is exactly what they want you to be, which is one of the reasons why they're teaching you to hate the Muslims around the world. They're teaching you to hate the Gulf, they're teaching you to hate the GCC, because the GCC is pouring money into countries in the West. They're pouring investment into countries all around the world, and they're pouring money. I don't know why I can't say that. They're pouring money, probably into your state, probably into your city, and you don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And you're probably angry about it because you're foolish. You've been taught to hate these people rather than allying with these people, which will give you power where you are. That will give you leverage where you are. If you're the one, and they should be coming to the Muslim communities, but they can't because all they ever hear from Western Muslims is that the Muslim leaders, the Muslim rulers in the Muslim world are all kuffar, they're all hypocrites, they're all bootlickers, they're all sellouts and what have you. You've alienated yourselves and you've alienated them from you. So now their money isn't even coming into your communities. But it could be, if you reach out, you could actually get some of that Gulf investment into your own community and start working with them, start partnering with them, get some funding for your own startups and so forth. But they want you to be cut off. And you're foolishly falling for it. And patting yourselves on the back about how righteous you are. Meanwhile, you're doing nothing but keep your own community weak.
Okay, let's see. Questions? Let me see. I've seen a question earlier from...
And meanwhile, but meanwhile, every Islamic organization that I've ever worked with in the United States, which was several, back when I was stuck in that country, every Muslim organization in America comes begging to the Gulf for money. There isn't a single one that doesn't get their money from the Gulf, mostly from Qatar, but also from Saudi Arabia, depending on which end of the spectrum they're on Islamically, if they're so-called Salafist, ish, or if they're Ikhwani. As we all know, the Ikhwanis run the Islamic organizations over there, so most of them are getting their money from Qatar. But you can also find from the Emirates, there's Ikhwanis in the Emirates that are not like publicly Ikhwani, in Kuwait and so on. They all go to the Gulf to get their money, because that's another thing. Even that, you all aren't even funding your own organizations enough, that they all end up having to go to the Gulf to beg for money. Your masjid, if you want your masjid built, you got to get money from Saudi Arabia or from Qatar or from Kuwait or what have you. You know, your Islamic schools, you have to go there to get funding. You need to build connections properly, Yani, because you end up going back to them anyway.
Okay, let's see.
They try to toxify every relationship, you know. They want to alienate you and keep you marginalized and keep you weak, keep you isolated, and you just fall for it.
Okay, so there's somebody else here.
And I'm sorry, it's not a moral stand to weaken yourself. That is not a moral stand. If your moral stand makes you weak and makes you dependent on your enemies, that's not a moral stand.
This is why I'm really eager for every one of you to get acquainted with this series of videos that are going to be featured on the 100 Days of Middle Nation Challenge, to really acquaint yourself with the OCGFC and the influence that it has and the different factions of the OCGFC and the interests that they serve and how it's going to affect change. And it's been affecting change. And all of his videos point out to these shifts that's been taking place, and the clarity will really help.
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt, but to go back to the question that I don't remember her name, unfortunately, who asked about what can we do.
Yes.
One clue here, or one hint here, is when you look at what has been done by the people who have power. What have they done to get power? Larry Fink, for example, now controls something like 11 trillion dollars in assets. Okay, he didn't get that by protesting in the street and saying I demand $10 trillion worth of assets. You know, and I'm not saying that means that you have to now become greedy and what have you, but I'm saying that you can also look at, I've talked about it many times, you look at the Gulf, look at the GCC, what they did over the last 40 years to build themselves up. Contrast that with, say, for example, and I don't mean to pick on them, contrast it with Sudan. Okay, when Sudan discovered oil, it became a completely 100% oil-dependent economy. They didn't diversify, they didn't seek other ways, and I'm not, again, blaming Sudan. A number of factors occurred in Sudan, and I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about over the last 30 years, that interfered with them being able to develop their economy and to diversify their economy. But the point is just to show two examples of practical steps that you have to take when you know how the world works. There's practical steps that you have to take, one of which is trying to attain economic leverage, economic power. Use money as a form of diplomacy. once you get some. And I'm not telling you try and get rich. This isn't a get rich message. But like I'm talking about, like even with the community, even in your Muslim community where you are, or if you're a non-Muslim, in the community where you are, in America, and I've talked about this many times, about sufficiency zones. I've talked about, what do you call it, like the CHIT fund, where people cooperate together on a neighborhood basis. Everybody puts money in and someone takes money out once a month, a lump sum once a month. There are things that you can do to help build yourselves up practically, that can give you some degree of autonomy, that can give you some degree of community level, neighborhood level sovereignty. There's not going to be, this is why the three objectives of Middle Nation is economic sovereignty, political independence, psychological decolonization. All of those three things are tied together. You really can't have one without the other. You can't have political independence if you don't have economic sovereignty. You can't have economic sovereignty if you don't have psychological decolonization, and you can't have political independence until you have psychological decolonization. You have to free your mind. But if you want to have political independence, the only way you can do that is by fortifying it with economic sovereignty. As long as your economy, if you're economically dependent, if you're economically subject, then you're never going to have political independence. And that's you can say on a micro level and on the macro level. You have to build up your economy. So even on a community level, you need to break some bad habits. If you want to impact large corporations, if you want to impact the multinational corporations, the OCGFC and so on, there's on a personal level, there's bad habits that you have to break, like mindless consumption. You need to break the mindless consumption, and you need to start trying to produce things yourselves on a community level. You know, don't follow brands. Don't buy when you don't need to buy. Don't spend. Make sure that every time you spend $1 or a pound or a euro or a dinar or whatever the case may be, every time you spend anything from your pocket that you spent time earning, spent energy earning, had to work to earn, if you're going to give that to someone, make sure that you must do that. You know, and that is a conscious decision. Because like I've talked about many times, when you, especially in America, if you give money to a company, all you're doing is giving them a political donation to whatever that company is going to support, whatever political agenda that company is going to follow and pursue, and use their economic and political leverage to make sure that it happens. You are contributing to that. You are giving them power. When you give them money, you're giving them power, and taking power away from yourself, unless you are making that a very conscious, intentional decision of what you will spend on and what you will not spend on. Or if you'll just save it, which is probably what you should do. Like I said, you should put it in a pool, in a community level sovereign wealth fund for your neighborhood, for your community, for your masjid.
Okay, we're already...
A waqf, create a waqf.
Yeah, a fund, yeah. I mean, like when I'm coming back to the question about what can we do? And it doesn't require dramatic actions. Like a simple thing as, like, you know, asking yourself if you have to spend the money that you have to a corporation that makes toothpastes, for example. Instead of doing that, you just return to your roots or your heritage and seek out methods in which you have that are that cost a fraction of the price. I'm talking about there's so many practical level things that we are spending way more than it's needed because of heavy marketing and lies that's being told to us. And this is a power that we have to not consume, to not fall for the the lies that they are perpetuating. You know, that runs the market. So that's just one way of exerting your own power. Okay, I don't see any other...
Because it's also not just about, like, for example, it's not just about boycotting.
Yeah.
Because you can reward too. You shouldn't just have a stick. You have to have a carrot as well. So a company, for example, that comes out in favor of a Palestinian state, that comes out against genocide, or whatever the case may be, whatever issue it may be, you must reward that company.
Yeah.
You know, not just punish the companies that are doing the wrong thing, but you have to reward the company that's doing the right thing. And the only reward and the only punishment that companies understand is financial.
Exactly. Okay, so we're coming into about an hour of the.
And you said, I'm sorry, you said that it doesn't have to be something dramatic.
Yes.
But I would say that it has to be that you understand that dramatic moves are never going to be the answer.
Yeah.
You have to get it out of your mind. Not just, it doesn't have to be dramatic. You have to have the understanding that that's not how things really work. We're talking about, you have to have some serious lifestyle changes.
Yes.
Serious long-term lifestyle changes, psychological changes, changes in your mentality, changes in your mindset, and changes in on the community level.
Yes.
In terms of how you relate with people, how you deal with people, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is why, and I've talked about this before as well. People are always asking about what can be done, and because of the Western programming, everyone wants a quick solution. Everyone wants a quick fix. I want something that I can do right now that's going to change the world. That's not a thing. That's not how it works. It's like how they have taught you that whenever you have any pain in your body, you just take aspirin, you just take Tylenol, you just take Panadol, you take paracetamol, what have you, a painkiller to get rid of the problem, rather than identifying what was the source of the pain. Maybe the source of the pain is a long-term bad habit, a long-term bad habit that you are, or a bad diet, or what have you. And yes, you can take a pain pill at this moment, and that will get rid of the pain right now. But obviously it's going to come back, and it's going to just keep getting worse, and your addiction to the painkillers will get more and more. So you have to actually start looking at what's the sources of the pain, what's the sources of the injustice in your society, what's the sources of the inequality in your society, what's the source of the misery in your society, and then start working on the long-term changes, which again is part of why you have to understand that the OCGFC exists. Because you have to understand how real power works, what the real power dynamics are in your society. Otherwise, you might think that I'll be able to change my situation if I vote for red or I vote for blue. That's not going to be that's not how it works. That's not the source of the problem. The problem isn't that the wrong person is in office.
No.
The problem is that the office is owned.
Yes. This is a very important point. There's so many quotable quotes.
Yeah, I mean, anyone, whoever you elect, you're just deciding which politician to put in which company's pocket. That's what you're doing. You're picking something, a politician off the shelf and putting them in a company's pocket.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. You're not putting them on your side. You're not taking them home. You're putting them in someone else's pocket. All right, so we're an hour in now?
About 5 minutes to go.
Okay.
Before we're an hour in. We wouldn't go longer than an hour.
I think an hour is enough.
Sufficient, yeah. So we're very happy for the 500 or so of you who have just joined us.
Thank you so much.
And we would like to strictly keep to the theme and the objectives of the live stream. So if you have any other questions, you may join the Telegram group. Shahid interacts actively with the...
Yeah, it's Middle Nation on Telegram. You just go to Middle Nation, go to Telegram. Go to Telegram, look for Middle Nation, do a search on Middle Nation,
Yes.
and you'll find it.
Yes. We have a number of activities other than the 100 days of Middle Nation Challenge.
MashaAllah, we have so many activities. We have the book discussion,
Yes.
we have the social media brigades, we have a regions group
Yes,
where you can actually talk to people from different parts of the world and get information and perspectives from the people in those regions, in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Latin America.
Just for you to understand perspectives from the natives in the respective region for details. We intend to run that on a monthly basis. So please look out for all the different subgroups in the Telegram group.
I mean, the other thing, when talking about like what can be done, the most of the people who ask that question, and anyway, most of the people who follow the content anyway are in the West. So they're asking about, as a Westerner, what can be done as a Westerner in the West, whether it's in America, UK, Europe, what have you. And the answers there are going to be different from the answers if you're somewhere in the Global South, because the dynamics are different. And what is going to be done by people in the Global South, in my opinion, is far more important than what will be done in the West. by people in the West. Because to a certain extent, and I'm sorry to tell you, but to a certain extent, your situation in the West is irreversible. The situation in America, the situation in Europe, the situation in the UK is largely irreversible. It is on a descent. And this is why, and it's not because I said so, the fact of it being in a descent is why the transition is happening to the global south, why the A National OCGFC exists, and why they are pivoting to the global south. Because you're already in descent, and now they are accelerating that descent because they're making their moves to prepare for the future, which does not include you in the West. So you have to look forward to a future in which your government is going to be completely hollowed out. The main role of government on the federal, and well, the federal government is, you're talking about America specifically, the federal government in America is going to become almost superfluous, and there's going to be state level authority, and that will mostly be manifested through security, so-called security, meaning militarized policing, meaning increased incarceration rates, increased also deportation, even if you're a citizen, cracking down. This is what you have to look forward to in the United States of America. I can't talk too much about different parts of Europe. Anyway, Europe is going to become a conflict zone. And they're facing deindustrialization at a rapid pace. In America, the situation is, in my opinion, irreversible. It's in a state of decline, and no one is doing anything except to accelerate that decline, including the people who are talking about America first.
Okay.
When they say America first, they must mean America must go down first. This is irreversible. So what you can do is try to prepare yourself and your family and your community for basically surviving and hopefully thriving amidst the collapse of your system. Finding, like I say, sort of trying to found and create sufficiency zones in your own neighborhood, in your own community, where you don't have to rely.
Your own networks, your own little ecosystem.
Yeah, you have to create your own ecosystems.
Yeah.
Really, really think about it like, you know, and I don't mean to sound like one of those, like Armageddon preppers or something like that, but you have to prepare for economic collapse. And I'm not necessarily even saying that this is going to be something that's going to happen again, sort of in one big dramatic, you know, the stock market crash and what have you. But you're on this trajectory. You're on a rapid downward trajectory, and things are going to get very bad. So there's not anything that you can do, and I'm sorry to be very blunt about this, there isn't anything you can do that will reverse that. All you can do is to try to prepare for the inevitability of what the conditions are going to be like once that fully plays out.
Jazakallah Khayr for everyone again who are here.
Yeah, Jazakallah Khayr on everyone.
We have to close.
I will close it now.
And I feel that because that's the nature of Shaheed, like the things that he talks about has a lot of overlaps in many of the contents that he's made. And for those who are new here, and for some of the questions that I've seen, I would really urge you to go and peruse the different topics, the different playlists on the channel.
We're trying to organize in better playlists, by the way, so it'll be easier for you to find the things of interest to you.
Also, I would urge you to participate in the 100 Days of Middle Nation Challenge. This would also get you up to speed on the general theme of the channel, and it will also help you in being more fluent in the methodology and mindset of the Middle Nation. You know, and it will help you in arriving at clarity in the way you view the world, understanding it for what it is, and not what's being fed to you without any, critical thinking.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about realpolitik.
Yeah.
And this is a fundamental part of the what you can call Middle Nation mentality, Middle Nation mindset, Middle Nation worldview, perspective, or what have you, whatever term you want to use. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, the way I see it, if you are trying to be moral or trying to achieve something moral while also being impractical, you're not being moral. You can't be moral in an impractical manner if you want to achieve anything. If you actually want to achieve a moral outcome, then you must be practical, you must be realistic. And if you're not realistic, if you're not practical in the way you pursue a moral outcome, then that means that you are not going to achieve that moral outcome, which to me is the same thing as someone who is completely indifferent to whether or not a moral outcome occurs. So hopefully you can, if you join the Telegram group, it's obviously it's free discussion, and I'm there on a daily basis. And we have, mashallah, many great minds who are involved with Middle Nation on the team and who are just participants. And we've had a lot of feedback, alhamdulillah, from people who are in the discussion group saying how beneficial it has been for them. And like I mentioned in the group, when they were talking about, by the way, please make note, anyone who's watching, remember just a few weeks back, if you were following people a few weeks ago who told you that we were on the verge of World War III because of Iran and Israel, everyone in the Middle Nation chat was cool, calm, and collected, because we knew perfectly well that was not going to happen. So please join the chat, and you can get your mind right, get your understanding right, get your perspective right, get your information right, and get your priorities right. And understand that, yes, we do have to be practical, we do have to be realistic. If you are indeed, in reality, a moral person, interested in achieving moral outcomes for the Muslims and for all oppressed people around the world, whether it's in the Global South or anywhere else. Because obviously the fact of the matter is that the majority of people living on this earth are living in a state of some form of oppression, whether it's in the Global South or in the Global North. And if you want to achieve anything positive for them, then you have to approach it. You can be motivated by your morality, by your morals, by your beliefs, by your ideals, but the way you pursue that has to be ruthlessly realistic, ruthlessly practical, if you want to actually achieve something. Otherwise, you're just trying to make yourself feel good about yourself and make everyone think that you're a great person,
Yes.
which is completely useless in my view.
And that just means you just have to have an immense amount of self-discipline and focus. And what better way to begin that journey than by joining the 100 Days of Middle Nation Challenge. We've already
right.
2 minutes beyond the hour. So the next live will be taking place in 3 days' time on the 5th of August. Look out for the next video to be discussed tomorrow on the Middle Nation discussion group.
All right.
Jazakallah Khayr.
Jazakallah Khayr, everyone. Thank you for joining. See you next time, inshallah. Bi-idhnillah.